Hi, everyone. My name is Grete Wilt, and I'm here to talk to you today about just some preliminary work we've done on associations between minute-level smartphone GPS-derived exposure to greenness and consumer wearable-derived physical activity in the Nurses' Health Study 3, which is a big Harvard cohort study. So I come from environmental health, so I'm just going to take a minute to describe nature exposure. We're really interested in kind of drivers of physical activity. We know physical activity can be incredibly beneficial, reducing anxiety and depression, reducing obesity, reduce CVD, all-cause mortality, as well as improved birth outcomes. And we're really wondering if exposure to green spaces, or better characterized as nature exposure, can be a potential driver of incentive for increased physical activity. So what we did is we have a population of a mobile health sub-study population in our larger Nurses' Health Study 3 cohort. The larger cohort has around 50,000 people, so we are looking to expand this study. But right now we're working with 500 female nurses. As you can see from the map, we've recruited really across the contiguous US. And we synchronize data from two unique sources. We have our mobile phone app, which provides GPS locations, as well as our Fitbit that gives us step count, but also heart rate, sleep data, et cetera. And we collected data for 4 7-day collection periods over the span of a year. So we have about 28 days of data ranging seasonally. For our statistical approaches for restriction, we first wanted to omit main sleep periods from our data using the Fitbit. Next, we restricted to 8 hours of GPS data daily on 3 unique days each. And we've done additional sensitivity analysis where we further restrict for like 12 hours across 5 days across all study periods. For our exposure, commonly used in environmental health, we use the Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, which is a 30-meter Landsat 8 raster that provides data at about the 10-minute temporal resolution, which we can link to our smartphone data, as well as our Fitbit data. And then our outcome will be average step count per that 10-minute period. And we're going to look at effect measure modification, both stratified by quartiles of walkability, neighborhood socioeconomic status, and then we've done additional stratifications that I just don't have time to go over today. And for our analysis, because we have this intensive longitudinal data, we will explore nonlinearity through generalized additive mixed models and splines. For our overall analysis, what we really saw in this spline is a negative association with the greenness data and average step counts per minute. We adjusted all these models on walkability, neighborhood socioeconomic status, individual socioeconomic status, age, temperature, and precipitation to kind of control for regional differences as well as seasonality. And this is what we see again when we stratify on quartiles of walkability. You might see some deviations at the farthest ranges, but really that center trend for kind of average greenness is pretty consistent throughout the quartiles, as well as for neighborhood socioeconomic status. And we saw really similar things again with temperature and precipitation when we stratified on those as well. So this caused us to say, okay, this is maybe not what we expected. Let's go back to the drawing board. Why are we seeing this? We do see that overall negative association. When we pull apart the effect modification, maybe we're seeing something a little bit different when we look week versus weekend. It's really hard to do that. We have nurses data, so people work during the weekends. This kind of brings us to our exciting next steps. We are planning to use workplace address data to restrict to non-work time using our GPS locations, as well as we are obtaining transportation mode from our GPS points to further assess really only leisure time physical activity. We don't want to get information if you're driving in a car in a green space. And so hoping to do that and prod out more why we've seen these negative associations. So this is ongoing work for my dissertation. So if anyone has any questions, please email me or reach out to the space lab that I'm a part of at Harvard. Thank you so much.